never seen anyone play as many shows as that guy plays.
His work ethic is amazing.
Oh, Steve is a machine.
He uses the quintessential grind of DJs.
Guinness Book of World Records contacted us and said that by miles flown, Steve was the most traveled musician in the world.
Holy cow, he could make a George Clooney movie. That was a clip from I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, where you will be thrust into the world of Steve Aoki, one of my favorite people in all of music, Grammy-nominated electronic dance music superstar who plays for millions of people, perhaps billions, every single year. And the documentary, it's now available exclusively on Netflix, and you have that, so you should watch it because it's very interesting. Steve Aoki is here, superstar, DJ, producer, and God of Beats. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me again.
So the thing that strikes me throughout is your work ethic, which you got from your dad. But you had a very complicated relationship because he didn't understand what you wanted to do, but he imparted that on you. What do you think your dad wanted you to do?
Well, I think it's a pretty common thing, where, you know, you have a very conservative, traditional parent. I mean, like for me, he comes from a Japanese traditional, in the traditional sense of the work ethic, and that's almost like it's cumbersome, it's too much, and he pushed that on his children. So for me, it's like I have the same drive, but I didn't want to necessarily take a traditional route of getting, you know, a day job, a desk job, and you know, and having like more of a stable future. Yeah. You know, like obviously music is not stable. No. And the way I looked at it was never about how much money can I make, how can I turn this into a business. It was more like, how do I actually make good music that can be relatable and I can grow, you know, like a true culture around the music that I'm making. Yeah, and I'm guessing your dad kind of had the reverse of that. Like, first you had the plan, and then, you know, it's like, figure out how to make the money, and then do the thing. And he's like, you're not making any money? It's like, no, that's not the point. I'm like, I can survive, I can figure it out. It's not about how much money I can make. Yeah. I never thought about it like that until later on in life, when I actually started making money, did I actually have like the business savvy sensibilities. But that maturation was much later in my life. A much longer process, and he probably wanted you to expedite things. And for those of you who don't know, Steve Aoki's dad was Rocky Aoki, the founder of Benihana and an Olympic wrestler. Check it out.
My father, he didn't really support the idea. He'd always say, you need to get a job. You need to do something with your life. I wanted to prove to him that I could be successful with music.
Did he see that success? Yeah, towards the end, which I was happy. Yeah. Did you come to terms with? I did. I mean, there was definitely like this intersection of a lot of culmination of feelings that were brought out, because having a father like that, that's very non-apologetic, that's very strict, that there's no room for questioning. It doesn't leave much room for emotional, you know, conversations. Yeah. And it all kind of came down at the same time, like right before he passed away. Wow. But you had that closure. I did. And it also, you know, what's really interesting is when you have a really strong parent with a strong personality, it creates someone like you. Like the creativity, even if that was a backlash to the way you were raised, do you think you could be this successful without that intensity and that struggle and that longing? I think it's a balance between that and also my mom, who raised me, was my rock. Yeah. And, you know, stayed with me from the very beginning to now, and was like, you know, all sorts of humility and strength too, and just TLC. Yeah. You know, just really being like a great mom. So having her balancing it out, having both, you know, was great, because I mean, it's one thing to be hardened. And I of course appreciate that, because you know, just like anything, if you don't learn the struggle, then you won't survive. And I think that's an important lesson. Like if you say there is no rope to get out, you have to figure it out on your own, or you just sit down in the dark dungeon and until you figure it out.
Well, even if you were in that dungeon, you know, beautiful music has come from that. You didn't have a rope. You weren't raised with a silver spoon, as a lot of people assume. You are self-made, and now Forbes says you're one of the 5 most successful DJs in the world, so much so that you are responsible for some of the gold medals at the Olympics. Michael Phelps was listening to your music before one of his races.
Yeah,
does he owe you that medal?
No, absolutely not. But I love Michael Phelps. He's a great guy.
You know him?
Yeah. We did like, I taught him how to DJ, and he in turn taught me how to swim.
You're in great
properly.
shape too.
Yeah, I mean, like there's definitely like some basic swimming lessons I didn't know about.
Yeah.
That he taught me in like a minute. I was like, oh, so you have to be totally level, totally flat on the surface, and then you can go faster.
Yeah. And what was the most important thing you taught him about music?
Well, you want to tell a story when you're DJing, you know, not just beat matching. It's not about like mixing necessarily. Mixing is important, obviously, because you have to mix from one song to the next. But you want to make sure that there's a story that you're telling.
And now people can see your story. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah.
Steve Aoki, thank you for being here. It's always an interesting conversation, and I love where the road takes you, even if you're kind of sleepy. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks.